Thank you for clicking the link. Thank you for joining in. My name is Shalonda Lachelle, and you are subscribing, I hope, to my YouTube station where I will share my journey. I have recently been diagnosed with breast cancer, and it has been very devastating for me. And now that I've gotten past the devastation, I am what most people would call survivor mode. So I am HER2 positive, for those who understand the breast cancer language. And I was diagnosed in April of 2022, so just a few months ago. And I am now deciding to share my story with others, hopefully with the ability to shed light on the situation and kind of walk through, live through, and encourage others. It's been very difficult for me getting to this point. I spent quite a few days and nights just crying and bawling my eyes out and trying to figure out why I was chosen this type of destiny, in this type of walk in life. And what I've learned is that you have to have a tremendous amount of patience. And so I wanted to share this information with people because we, as Black women, in the Black community, we have things that we talk about and we have things that we don't talk about. And I don't think we talk about personal health issues as much as we should. And I am too definitely guilty of that, because when I was first diagnosed, I didn't want to share with anyone. I immediately shared with my husband, and then we shared with our parents. And the reason why I didn't want to, not because I didn't want to share the information, but because I didn't have answers. I'm a person who has always been a bit in control, not controlling, but in control, right? So very self-sufficient. Have always had the means to figure out a resource to get an answer if I need it. And so when I got the call from my doctor and was advised that I had cancer, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what resource I could get to make it go away. So I had to learn patience, and I lost faith, being honest. I kind of lost my way because I got to questioning. And one thing that we all know is that you don't question God. And for those who are non-believers, I don't mean to offend you at all, but I'm just sharing my story. That's how I was raised. It's what I believe. But I did find myself feeling like, why me, right? So the title of my video is, I have breast cancer, now what? Seriously. I didn't understand why. And I couldn't get past the crying and the anger to deal with it. And I was just existing for a few weeks, months, I would say. And I shared with my very small circle. And I want to say thank you to my husband for sure. And then my nieces and my sister-in-law, because they reassured me that every step of the way, no matter what happens, they were going to be there to support me. So I definitely thank them for that. And my niece shared with me, like, TT, this gonna be your testimony. You the strongest person that I know, and you gonna get through this, and I can't wait to see how you spin it. And that made me feel good, but at the point in time when she said it, although I was feeling good, I was just like, I felt like this was the all of all in my end. Like, I didn't think that I had another trick in my bag to pull out and get out of this. I just didn't. But she did believe in me. And then my other niece was like, TT, you gonna be okay. Everything is gonna be positive. You're gonna work it out. Don't even worry about it. We got you, right? And my sister-in-law shared with me. She talked to me quite often, and I shared with her that I didn't understand why, and I was just so angry and I was just so upset. Like, why is this happening to me? Like, I've lived my life decent, right? I don't bother anybody, I don't do anything, I'm pretty healthy. And she was like, why not you? And when she said that, I was like, huh? And she was like, sis, like, why not you? Why would he not give you this biggest test of your life so that you can have a testimony to tell? Why would it not be you? And I didn't really think of it that way. So shout out to my sister-in-law, Tamara. Hey, girl. For sharing that with me and making me understand that we don't question, 1. 2, we don't have the answers. And 3, he's not going to give me anything that I can't handle. So at that point, I decided to go ahead and make this journey be my journey. And what I mean by that is, I still have my moments and my days for sure, break down crying, my husband and I at any given moment, right? Because I just don't know what's going to happen. But I do know that I'm a very strong person, well educated, very, very good manners and tenures, and mean well. And I don't put anything out there in the universe that I don't want to come back out to me, because I do strongly believe what you put out there will come back. And so I was like, all right, so let's start this journey. I'm ready. So with that, I talked to my doctor, and I shared that I found a lump, right? So I'm going to back up a little bit. So I shared that I found a lump, and I had shared with my husband. And I thought that maybe because I wear underwire bras, so I figured like, well, maybe it's, a bump coming from my bra. It wasn't, right? So I go and I tell my doctor, and he was just like, oh, I can feel it. And he was just like, it feels like a cyst. So sidebar, I do get cysts. My family gets cysts. It's a hereditary thing. And we have what is called sebaceous cyst that comes just pretty much anywhere on your body sometimes. They're always benign, and it's no big deal. So he was like, it's movable. I kind of feel it. It feels like a cyst. And I'm like, okay, fine. I can deal with that. He says, but to be safe, before we decide to go ahead and remove the cyst, I'm going to send you for a mammogram. Not a problem. So I go for the mammogram, and the results come back in a few days. And yes, it was a cyst. However, behind the cyst, they found cancer. And at this point, I'm like, seriously? So I'm the type of person, again, I tell you that I like to try to control narratives. And while I'm waiting for my results, I'm logging into my chart over the weekend and just kind of see if my results are here. So my results did come in over that particular weekend. And when it came in, I read the results. So when he called me, I wasn't surprised, and I had already shared with my husband that it wasn't good. So when he called, I told him I had reviewed my results online, and he was like, I'm sorry, I didn't expect that. The cyst is definitely there. That is what we felt, the lump. But behind that cyst, we did find cancer. And so we need to do a biopsy to determine, what. So then I go in for a biopsy and an ultrasound. And everything comes back to confirm what the mammogram shows. And I'm just like, seriously? So at that point, I am I'm horrified. I don't know what to do, and I'm, again, boo-hooing day in and day out, and it's just unbelievable. So he sets me up with an oncologist to discuss the path of removing the cancer. And when he sets me up with the oncologist, I meet with them and the other members of the team that would be assisting in the surgical procedure to get rid of the cancer. And I had appointment after appointment after appointment to where it was just, I didn't know whether I was going to come in. But every time I went to these appointments, I wasn't feeling anything. I didn't get anything. Like, there were no answers. And it was just like, we're going to do surgery on this day. And I'm like, okay, so what's the plan? Oh, we're going to do surgery, then we're going to do chemo. And I'm like, okay. Right? So I just didn't feel like it made sense to me. And food for thought, when you're feeling like you do not understand or you're able to follow or comprehend, take that for what it is and listen to your gut. So I told my husband, like, I go to these doctor's appointments every day. Sometimes it was like twice, 3 times in a week. I was like, I'm not finding out anything. I just get another appointment, another blood draw, and it's just like, it's crazy. And so I said, I want to get a second opinion. And he says, let's get a second opinion. And by way, he is the most supportive person that I could have ever had with this journey. And I really, truly appreciate him. And so we reach out to another hospital to get a second opinion, and I go in and I meet with their team. And the first meeting is 3 members of the team to discuss. I pre-sent my records from the previous hospital over to them ahead of time so that they could have everything when we got in for the appointment. And they looked at my records and we discussed them at the same time. And so the good news is I wasn't misdiagnosed. I was diagnosed with the same thing that they had found as well. The bad news is they had a totally different approach. So it was almost kind of like this Grey's Anatomy feel, where like they have like this whole team and they come in and they talk about what's going on and what do you think should happen and what are we going to do and why are we going to do this. And it just gave me a little bit more of assurance that they were more fit to handle my situation. So I fired my doctor that I previously had, and I went with a new doctor and a new team. And I felt better. And it was explained to me as if I was a 5-year-old without making me feel like I was a 5-year-old, right? So this is a whole lot of stuff. I don't know medical terminology. I'm not in the medical field for a reason. Kudos to them. And I just needed to be expressed and explained to me to where I could understand without belittling me and making me feel like I don't understand. And they did that. And so what they wanted to do was treat the cancer first versus do the surgery first. So they reversed it. And after hearing their statistics and the reasoning for doing that, I felt more comfortable with going with Team B, who had done this particular procedure on women that looked like me more than 1,000,000 times, versus going with Team A that has done this procedure with women probably 300 to 400 times, and maybe 50 to 60 of the women might have been women that looked like me. That was very important to me. And so I went with B. I went with Team B. And now we're to the point where I am ready to start my chemotherapy this week. I am taking my first round of chemotherapy this week, and I am doing my appointments. I'm doing my appointments to prep myself for my first dose of chemo. And it's been a long journey, but I'm ready to get it started, because the sooner I get it started, the sooner I get over it, hopefully. But before that, I had to go through a couple of other different testing that they wanted me to do. So I needed to do the oncotype test. And to my understanding, that is to determine reoccurrence rates. It is also to determine if my body would respond to receiving chemotherapy, because not everyone will respond to it. And my understanding, again, I am not a doctor, nor am I in the medical field. So this is my interpretation of what has been relayed to me. My understanding is if your oncotype score is 0 to 15, your body will probably not respond to chemo, so there's no need for them to give you that medication. So my test was done, and my result was 16. How does that even happen? Who does that? Like, how do you be so borderline to where you're just right over? So that means that I will be receiving chemotherapy. And I do also believe if you are HER2, that you will be a definite candidate for chemotherapy as well. Don't quote me on that. So I was just a little bit like, seriously? Okay. So now we are at the point to where I am getting chemo. And after I've been assured that the type of cancer that I have is a slow growing cancer, and there is not an urgent need to jump and do surgery right away. They will treat it first, try to shrink the cancer before cutting it out to make sure that they can alleviate the chances of it returning. So after that has happened, and I realized that, okay, right now I'm not about to drop dead, and I heard chemo, I was like, I don't want to lose my hair. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. As vain as it may seem, I am a fan of braids, wigs, and extensions, and I wear them quite often. And I do protective styles with my hair, but I do them at my leisure because I want to. I don't do them because I don't have the ability to grow my hair or have hair. I've had long hair since I've been in grade school. I'm completely natural, and that's just a thing with some Black women. You know, we like our hair, and Black guys like our hair too. And again, I don't want to offend anyone. I'm just speaking totally from my heart, my understanding, and my beliefs. And so I felt some way about possibly losing my hair. So what I did was I talked to my doctors. There's a few things, right? So the chemo, because I haven't had it yet, so I can't give you my real thought until I actually have the procedure. But the chemo is going to make your body extremely hot because it is going to kill the cancer cells. While it's killing the cancer cells, it's going to also kill some other cells. So there's multiple side effects. Neuropathy, loss of hair, appetite, things like that. And so there's a thing, a therapy, a cold therapy that is used to offset the heat that is coming from the chemotherapy, the flashes and things like that. And so you can do ice mittens and socks to keep neuropathy from forming, and then there's a cold capping method that people use for their hair to try to keep their scalp as cool as possible while going through chemo to alleviate losing your hair. Now, what I have researched is you would lose about probably 70% of your hair. Some people have said they haven't lost any, and I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna jump and shave my head. I don't want to. I got kind of a big head. And I hope it doesn't come to that. So my doctor shared with me some things that I could do to not have those types of side effects. And cold capping and the therapy gloves and mittens were the things that they shared with me. The therapy gloves and mittens, not a problem. Bought them on Amazon, totally fine. The cold capping, it's a little bit more expensive, a little bit more in depth. And so that is covered by most insurances now. Unfortunately, the companies that are referred to you by your hospital and your physicians do not bill insurance. So what I would be looking at is paying out of pocket for cold capping. And paying out of pocket would be somewhere from $300 to $600. I believe the equipment is between $300 and $400, and then there is a deposit of $200 that you must put down, and then you get that deposit back when you return all of the equipment. But I don't have $500 to $600 to just put up. I really don't. So, I talked to my doctor and my team about some other alternatives, and I receive cold therapy capping suggestions on where I could get these caps from, and these hats that have liquid gel in the inside of them. You put them in your freezer. You need at least 3 to 4 of them so you can rotate them. And so I did that. So I went to Amazon and I bought all of my stuff. I will share what those things are with you in my next video after I have my first treatment. And I will also share, if I will have the links as well in my story, and I will share what my thoughts are if they're working. Unfortunately for chemo, I believe what I'm told is like maybe 14 days. So like after 2 weeks is when you actually determine if your hair is starting to shed or fall out. So it'll be a process. What I will do is after each treatment, I will post another video and kind of let you know, hey, what's working for me, what's not working for me. And hopefully this will help someone. Because I mean, I have cancer, now what? So we got to figure it out. We do. And it's not the end of the world. I've just gotten to a situation where I can actually share with people that I have it. Some people still don't know that I have it because people look at me and they are like, she don't look sick. And I will tell you, by the grace of God, I have not been sick. I have not been ill. I have not missed a beat, a day of work. I have been totally fine. But I have not had any treatments yet. So when my treatment started this week, I believe the side effects will probably come in, and that's probably what's going to make me sick. But thank goodness that I haven't been experiencing any illnesses at this time. And I had to really kind of check myself and say, you know what? It's people who get these diagnoses and they are immediately put on medications and they are immediately turned around completely from one, dealing with the diagnosis, two, dealing with the sickness and illnesses from the medications and then the side effects. And I haven't had to deal with anything but receiving the diagnosis. Thank you, God. Thank you. So, don't want to get teary-eyed, don't want to go too much into it, but just know I will be posting every week, and hopefully my videos will help someone. I will be sharing my products that I've purchased, and I will have the companies on in my bio so that you can see them. And I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much, and look forward to my next videos. And I will see you soon, Pinkies.